raises serious questions. They didn't detect any of John Perros's DNA in his own vehicle, but for me the most important sample was that sample from the gutter. If a laboratory can't get a DNA profile from essentially a fresh sample of blood, how are they going to get DNA from trace evidence that may assist the police? Surfaces that typically a driver would touch frequently, the steering wheel, handbrake, handles within the vehicle, seat belts and so forth, didn't generate any DNA profiles at all. The only DNA profiles that was generated from the vehicle was a cigarette butt, which was attributed to Perros, and also an empty drinking container. To not find DNA from a vehicle that's been regularly used by the owner and hasn't appeared to have been regularly cleaned, to not find their DNA on anywhere, on any of the swabs that were taken from the steering wheel, the handbrake, the window wipers, is highly unusual. I've not seen that before. So the question is, was there trace DNA potentially from Shandee in John Perros's car that was there but wasn't detected? So between not observing any DNA profiles from John Perros's car when you would think that you would, and not observing a DNA profile from a pool of blood, certainly there's some pretty serious questions about the laboratory's ability to generate DNA profiles, not only from good quality fresh samples, but from trace samples. It appears as though there is something potentially quite critical happening, a critical error or a critical flaw in the processing of these samples that potentially hasn't been picked up by the laboratory and is being released as evidence to not only the police but the courts as well. Because of these real and significant concerns that are being raised about the DNA profiles, it definitely needs to be investigated further. The processes within the laboratory need to be investigated further, and certainly I think the samples need to be repeated or reanalysed by another laboratory.